And the Jewish world will be celebrating tomorrow evening the holiday of Sukkot. Joining us now in the studio to tell us about the meaning of the holiday is founding rabbi at the Tel Aviv International Synagogue, Rabbi Ariel Konstantyn. Thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure to be here.
So what is the meaning of Sukkot? Why do Jews celebrate this holiday?
So there are a number of reasons. One of them is that when we left Egypt and we spent 40 years in the desert, so we were dwelling in these huts. And one of the things it is to remind us of our humble beginnings and to appreciate what we have. We live in homes which are comfortable, beds and roofs over our heads, and everything is nice, air conditioning, comforts. But yet, when we leave the home and we enter into this temporary sukkah and we're eating out there, and there's flies and bees maybe it's a little too hot, a little too cold, sleeping in the sukkah on a mattress on the floor. But we start to appreciate the things that we take for granted and we have in our homes. We celebrate the blessings that God has given us. That's one angle. As well as in the desert, we had what was called the ananei hakavod, the clouds of glory that protect us, like a little echo bubble that protected us in the desert. And we want to also express our faith, because when we go into the sukkah, there's no doors to be locked. It might rain, from the roof that's thatched from vegetation and not a sealed roof. And therefore, we're expressing as well our faith in God, that God will protect us and care for us even under non-ideal conditions.
And so, of course, the sukkah is the most common symbol associated with this holiday, but there are other symbols as well, and I see that you've brought some of them with us. So can you share with us some of the other symbols?
Absolutely. This is known as Arbat Aminim, the four species, or commonly known as the lulav and etrog, even though that's only two of them. It says in the Torah that you shall take these four species on the first day of Sukkot, and we actually now practice them 7 days, because in the temple, once back in Jerusalem, we used to do it for 7 days, to remember that. The lulav comes from a palm tree, a date palm tree. This is a myrtle, okay? This is a willow, and this is known as the etrog or a citron. And they have many different symbolisms. First of all, some of them represent the parts of the body. This represents the spine, okay, the backbone. These represent, if you take a look, the leaves look like eyes. Okay, these leaves look like lips, okay, and the etrog looks like the heart. So that we serve God with all parts of our body, our eyes, our spine, our hearts, and our lips when we pray. It also represents different types of Jews. The etrog has a delicious smell and a flavor. And for that's a Jew who's rich in knowledge of Judaism and Torah, and also does a lot of good deeds, a lot of acts of kindness, and a lot of mitzvot. Then you have the hadas that has a beautiful smell, but no good taste. And that's someone who has a lot of good deeds. Someone who does good deeds has a good smell, because they're always helping people, but not a lot of knowledge, not someone who's studying a lot of tradition. The date palm actually has dates, so that has good taste. The date palm itself doesn't have a good smell, so that's someone who has a lot of knowledge but doesn't do a lot of good deeds. And then the willow has no smell and no taste. So it's kind of, quote unquote, the good for nothing, the one who doesn't do any good deeds and doesn't have any knowledge. But here's the thing. On Rosh Hashanah, we said, "V'ye'asu kulam aguda achat." We should make everybody one bundle, bring everybody together. And that's not just the Jews, that's everybody. All human beings should come together as one. And we should embrace everybody. So we take all these species, all the different types of people, and we hold them together. And we physically enact what we said on the high holidays and say, we are one people, one world, and we need to be all united as one. And we physically hold them together, and that's the mitzvah. We shake it as well. But the actual mitzvah is simply to hold them together and to embrace all human beings.
And I want to ask, briefly, we're, of course, here in Israel in the middle of a war. And so how does this affect at all, Jews here in Israel celebrating the holiday?
Oh, it's a lot of mixed emotions, that's for sure, especially as we come up on Simchat Torah, which is a Jewish anniversary of October 7th. And it's going to be very bittersweet, because on the one hand, we're going to be remembering all the horrors and the tragedy and the pain and the loss and the suffering. And we've been through that, not just on that day, but throughout the year. And on the other side, we don't want terror to win. And we want to say life will go on. If we stop our lives, then the terror wins. So we're going to continue to celebrate, but in a somewhat of a muted sense. And we're going to sing for those who can sing and celebrate for those who can and pray for them. We pray every day and every Shabbat that the hostages should be freed and our soldiers to come home safe and sound. And we're going to do that with great intensity on Simchat Torah and over the holiday of Sukkot, which is known as the holiday of joy. But I think it's going to be a little bit of a mixed feeling holiday as well. So we're going to, a little bit of tempered joy, I would say. But nonetheless, the joy must go on. We must continue to sing and dance for those who can't, and pray that, God willing, they'll join us and dance with us.
Absolutely. Rabbi Konstantyn, thank you so much for joining us. We're wishing you and all of our viewers a happy Sukkot.
Chag Sameach, happy Sukkot to all.